Hello, how are you? Today I will show you how to add HTML form in your web page. So before that, I wanted to say something. What is form? Simply form. It is used to collect user inputs like, for example, password, username, text field. Simply password field is there, checkbox, radio button. So how to add this type of form in your web page? Simply HTML form is a section of documents containing controls such as checkbox, text box, radio button, submit button, reset buttons are there. So the purpose of HTML forms is taking orders and user registration. And there are different form elements are there. That's text, radio button, as you have seen here, checkbox, submit button, reset buttons also there. So to add HTML form in your web page, there is a syntax. You have to create a form tag in your Dreamweaver or in your software. Then at the end you have to close a form tag. So based on this syntax, like that of the other tag like form or table, list, so you can add form elements. So how to add the first form element, that is checkbox. So between form tag and the closing tag of form, you have to use this input type tag. So input type, so you have to select the type of form element what you need to add in your HTML document. So let us check it how to add. So first you have to add simply break, then you have to create a form tag. Form, at the end, close your form. Then every form elements must be put here. So for example, if you need to add your first checkbox here, or simply how to add username and password first, or simply first name and last name, password field, email address also there. So uh, first you have to create a label, or you can write by simple paragraph or simple text. For example, uh, name username, then input type, input type. So the input type is text, simply text. So close this one. So uh, when we check it here in our design part, simply username, then the text field is here. So you can give different attributes for this text field. For example, you can give maximum length for this one is, for example, you can add 12. So you cannot enter username values above 12. So you can give many different attributes. So after you add this form, you can add also another for example, password password, then input type. There is a password for implement there, password, enter, like that's maximum length 15. So you can add 15 length password. So you can add like this, break. Next, how to add checkbox. For example, if you need to select uh, color from the list, for example, green color, input type, that is checkbox. Then let us check it here. So green checkbox, the first checkbox have been created here, and you can add also another color. So but before that you have to use line break, then yellow, input type, checkbox, uh, then break, another red, for example, red, then input type checkbox. So uh, just like this, you can add your checkbox. So you can use for this text label simply. For example, uh, label label. If you add label, simply this is for visible only. Based on this, you can add label, or you can use by default simple text. So look, your checkbox will be displayed in this form, and your text field is this one, and your password field also here. So check in our web browser. So sorry, uh, the file name for this one is my website. So my website is this one, so look, this is the previous example. So this is text field, this is password. So look, check, this one is password, but after this, the maximum length for password is 10, and the maximum length of text field is 12. So it is impossible to submit or enter more than 12 and more than 10. So you can check your checkbox. Simply the difference between checkbox and radio button. In radio button, you cannot select more than one choice, and in checkbox you can select two and more than two buttons. So if you need to check by default, and if you need to make it disable, for example, you can add an attribute for the code in checkbox. For example, this checkbox, this green checkbox, checked checked is equals to checked, and make it inactive, this yellow color, disabled. If you make it disabled, or if you use disable attribute, check it, refresh. Look, by default your green color or this checkbox have been checked by default, and it is impossible to select because I have already added a disabled attribute in this checkbox. Next, how to add radio button like that of the previous form element, break, then so next, you can add additional form element. For example, if you need to add uh, radio button, for example, for gender, uh, select your gender. So simply you can make it heading 1 or simple paragraph, uh, heading 1 or heading 2 and heading 2, this one. And you can make it underline, you underline to make visible your element. Then mail, and input type, sorry, input type, radio button. Then first, it's better to use line break, line break. Then for female, you can use input, sorry, type radio. So like that of checkbox, you can use different attribute. Uh, uh, for example, uh, so based on this, you can add. So let us check it. So this one is radio button. Uh, you can give different attributes like that of checkbox. For example, by default you can checked, this one checked is equals to checked, and even you can make it disable also here. So look in the web browser, refresh, this is by default the first radio button have been selected and the second one is inactive. It is impossible to select because we have used disabled attributes. Next, how to add also button. So for example, input type button, the first one button. So you can give value for this one. Login button, you can give the value, for example, look, then like that of the previous, you have to use break to add additional form element. Then after you save your file, refresh it. So simply this login button have been displayed. It is not functional, so you have to use different attributes to make it functionality. So next, how to add how to add, even like button, you can add also a submit button. So here, uh, input type input type submit button. By default it have a submit value. You can check it here, simply submit value. So you can fill the form and finally submit your information to the server. So based on this, you can submit your information. You can add different form elements, but for submit form elements, you have to use this form attribute, form action, either and methods. So the methods must be get method or post method. If you get a method, the input value are passed as part of the URL, and if you use by default simply get method have been displayed. So you can add also image form elements like this here. For example, if you need to add your information, input type image. So how to display, look, there is no image file is there, so you can add the file name of the image. Based on this, you can add also, for example, the image is sorry, value cs.jpg. So you can call or you can add the file name based on this, simply display in your uh, web browser. Next, how to add a reset button in your HTML document. So you can add like the previous button or the previous form element, break input type reset reset. So after you fill the information, uh, when you click reset button, simply totally remove all information from the form. So look, uh, refresh it. So you can add image from this one, uh, because it's linked with this file name. So when I click this one, totally the information in your form have been resetted in your form. Look, for example, this one, uh, the password is one, radio button is there. So when I click this reset button, all information have been resetted. Next, how to select or how to add drop down menu by using select tag. So you can add in your inside the form tag, you can add this one, for example, by using option tag. So uh, here, select select tag at the end, close your select tag, but here option 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 option. So close this tag. Then for example, number one, Then another option in drop down menu, number 2, number 2, another option, number 3, another option, another option, number 4. So from this one by default, which have been selected, you can, for example, if I need to select the number 2 by default, selected. Select, if I select this, or simply I add attributes, then save this file. Let us check it. Look, for example, number 2 is by default selected in drop down menu or in your web browser. Look, this one, number 2, and the other option have been displayed in this form. So this is how to add drop down menu in HTML document. Next, how to add text area in the form. So no need to use input type text. So you can use text area at the end. Text area have been closed. Simply it creates simple text area. Let us check in our web browser. Simply this one is our text area. You can limit the maximum length, so you have to use here break to make it in new line. So you can limit the number of rows and number of columns, or you can add different attributes for text area. For example, look here, columns, for example 30, and rows, the total number of rows, for example 5. And if you need to make it disable also, or later, first check it in design part. Look, 30 number of rows and 3 columns is there. So based on this, you can add or check in web browser. This one is text area. Can add your text here, and if you need to make it disable like that of other HTML tag, you can add here, disable, disabled. Then save it, refresh. So it is disabled. It is impossible to add contents in this text area. Finally, you can add also audio and video file in your HTML document. So like that of link document, you can add link. For example, anchor href, call the name of the video, or the name of, for example, if you need to add uh, video, for example, video dot the file extension of the video. For example, if the file extension for this video is mp4, you can use mp4, and you have to call or simply add text, visible text, apply. So apply this one, then save it. After that, you have to close the link, then save your file. After that, display in your web browser. So when I click this video, simply it opens the video file. Look, there is no video files is there. Look, for example, video but if there is a video, for example, just let me show you one example here. Simply you have to add your video file with the same folder of the file. So this is all about this video. ቪዲዮ ከተመቻችሁ ላይክ፣ ሸር እና ሰብስክራይብ አድርጉልኝ። አመሰግናለሁ።